Peacemaking is paying special, dedicated attention. It's having concern. It's running that fine-tooth comb through every single aspect of our lives because all of them matter and all of them are connected. Both then when Jesus said it and now, peacemaking is running this fine-tooth comb through broken relationships and broken families and estranged friends. Because what you want to actively do is bring God's wholeness, completeness, His peace, His healing to those relationships, to those situations. Both then and now, peacemaking is about accepting oneself. All the little details about you, exactly how God made you. Peacemaking is loving each other. Peacemaking is being in a right relationship with God and not just checking all those things off the list like they were a one-time pull your wisdom teeth. These are things that we have to return to, pay constant attention to, run the fine-tooth comb to every single time, because God's wholeness, His healing, has to be active in all those areas, no matter what tour stop your life is on. So in this same way, Jesus says, you, as God's kids, part of the family, you need to look like God. You need to carry out God's same family traits. So this is why He says, blessed are those who love their enemies and bring peace in the same way that God loves His enemies and brings peace. That's one of God's family traits. That's part of God's family business. To be peacemakers is to use what power we have to bring wholeness, to bring healing, to diffuse tricky situations and not pour gasoline on that fire. So then, some of the big questions that rise out of this part of the text for us this morning are these. What are the details looking like in your life right now? How many brown M&Ms are in the backstage portion of your life? Have you taken God's fine-tooth comb and run it through your physical, mental, social, financial, spiritual well-being? Are you paying close attention to all of those details? Or are you doing some and not others? Or I've checked that off 20 years ago. Whatever. Are you paying attention to God's rider for your life? Or maybe a better question for you this morning is this. Are you a loyal son or daughter of God? And not in the way the Zealots would have expressed that. Are you loyal in the sense that, you know what? You're bringing peace. You're not bringing anger to a fight. Are you working towards win-win situations in your world? Or are you just doing things the way you want to do them? Are you caught in the middle of something this morning? Between friends, around a problem? Are you doing that your way? Or are you doing it God's way? So then, the tough question for you and I here is this. In your life, is it all about you right now? Are you saying me, I? Are you in a place where you feel that your needs will only be met if your opponent, if your enemy goes down in flames? You'll only feel good if the other side gets hurt. Let's break this down to two simple examples. For those of us who are married, you might be in a challenging space with your spouse. Right now, as you run that fine-tooth comb over every aspect of your life, is it all about you and about getting your needs met and what you want and what you think you're due? If you were honest with yourself, would you say, the only way that I can really win is if my partner loses? Is that your approach? What about for those of us who have suffered the loss of a marriage that is broken? Do you only feel good when your former spouse is hurting? When you're trying to work life out, finances and houses and kids and jobs and vacations and timetables and schedules, is it only about you getting what you want, what you think is yours? Will you only be satisfied if your former spouse does not get what they want? This is what Jesus is speaking into. And he says, when we begin to think differently, when we carry this sense of holiness, what we're delivered from, actually, is ourselves. Delivered from just worrying about me and getting my way. Jesus says, you don't have to worry about me anymore. Why? Because I got you covered. I'll look after you. I'll take care of you. That's not one of your worries. So then he says, blessed are the peacemakers, those who have the family traits, those who carry on the family business, those who think differently. Why are they blessed? Well, it's obvious, because they are sons and daughters of God. They're being looked after by their heavenly dad. So when you and I forget that we belong to one another, when we forget that we are sons and daughters of the living God, then it's okay for me to badmouth you. That I'm totally fine with lying to you, stealing from you, undermining you, and hurting you. But when I remember and recognize that I am called to be a son or daughter of the living God, that we belong to each other, that I don't need to worry because the Lord will look after me, then I couldn't bear to badmouth you. I couldn't bear to steal from you or lie to you or undermine you or hurt you, because if I hurt you, then I am hurting. I don't feel good. If it's a win-lose, how could we be that way to one another? So then, when we stop worrying about ourselves, when we begin to look after one another, what we're actually doing is letting Jesus take over our lives. And we say to ourselves, I don't have to fight anymore for what I think is rightfully mine. The Lord will take care of me. And then our desire shifts. And what does our greatest concern become? Keeping and maintaining God's peace.